Okay, the entire world is basically holding its breath right now. President Trump and President Xi are getting ready to meet. And believe me, this is way more than just a handshake for the cameras. We're talking about a high-stakes negotiation that could either pull the global economy back from the brink or, push it right over the edge. So what's really at stake here? Let's break it all down.
And this really is the billion-dollar question, isn't it? Can this one single meeting finally put an end to the US-China trade war? It seems like a simple question, but the answer is incredibly complex. To even start to find it, we first have to understand the immense pressure cooker environment that this whole summit is happening in.
Yeah, this is not your average diplomatic get-together. It's a full-on showdown, and the clock is ticking, loudly. Both sides are kind of backed into a corner by pressures at home and a global economy that's, well, teetering on the edge.
So the setting for this critical meeting is Busan, South Korea, on October 30th. This is actually the first time President Trump and President Xi will sit down face-to-face since Trump's second term started. And honestly, the stakes could not be any higher.
Now, this meeting isn't just happening out of the blue. As you can see, it's coming after a really fragile 90-day truce and just a flurry of diplomatic talks. There has been a serious buildup of pressure, which makes this summit in Busan a real moment of truth.
So with all this tension in the air, what are they even going to talk about? Well, the agenda is huge, but it really boils down to 4 critical pillars that are going to determine the future of, well, pretty much all of global trade.
Right at the top of the list, you've got the big headline issue, tariffs and that massive trade imbalance. But it gets a lot more complicated from there. The U.S. is pushing really hard on agriculture, that's a key issue back home. And then you have the technological battleground, which is all centered on these things called critical minerals. And woven through all of that are some really sensitive security issues, like the fentanyl crisis.
To really get what's going on with the tech dispute, you absolutely have to know about rare earth elements, or REEs. I know they might sound a little obscure, but they are the secret sauce in basically everything that powers our modern world. I mean, the device you're watching this on right now, the electric car you might be thinking of buying, even advanced military jets, none of it works without REEs.
And here is where the power dynamic becomes crystal clear. China controls a staggering 80% of the world's supply of these critical elements. And look, this isn't just about business. This is a powerful geopolitical weapon that could be used to disrupt entire industries, like overnight.
So this brings us right to the heart of the standoff. The U.S. is wielding the hammer of tariffs, threatening massive duties. Meanwhile, China is threatening to just turn off the tap on these essential minerals. It's a really dangerous game of economic chicken, and the rest of the world is just caught in the middle.
So where does all this lead? Honestly, the summit is balanced on a knife's edge. It could end with a fragile deal that just kind of calms things down for a bit, or a complete and total breakdown that sends shockwaves through the entire global economy. And you can see their conflicting strategies just in their own words. President Trump is looking for a big, headline-grabbing, fantastic deal, a clear win he can take back home. President Xi, on the other hand, is playing the long game. He's focused on protecting the concessions that China has already managed to secure. And make no mistake, there is a huge threat hanging over these negotiations. President Trump has made it perfectly clear, if there's no progress, the U.S. is ready to slap on 100% tariffs. That's not just a negotiating tactic, it's a promise of massive economic disruption. So, why should you care about any of this? Because of this number. A full-blown trade war could erase up to 1% of global GDP. Now, I know that might not sound like a lot, but trust me, it translates into real-world pain. Job losses, higher prices for everyday things, and economic instability that would affect everyone, from huge corporations to small businesses to you and me.
And this isn't just a two-player game. Major powers all over the globe are watching this summit very closely, and their own strategic moves are adding another layer of complexity to an already tense situation.
Take Russia, for example. In 2025, a massive 69% of Russians approve of China's leadership. That's a strong alignment, and it means Moscow is looking at this summit through a very different lens, one that favors even closer ties with Beijing.
This whole thing creates a fascinating geopolitical chessboard. You have India playing a really pragmatic game, hoping to maybe peel away some supply chains from China and attract new investment. Then, on the other side, Russia actually benefits from continued US-China tension because it pushes Beijing further into Moscow's corner and it keeps the US distracted. So,
After all of that, we're back to the big question. With the stakes this high and the global situation so complicated, will this summit actually end the trade war?
Well, the short answer is no. This meeting isn't going to end the trade war. A full, complete resolution is just not on the table. The real goal here, for both sides, is de-escalation, a mutual agreement to just step back from the edge of a much, much bigger economic conflict.
So what does de-escalation actually look like in practice? Well, it's probably going to be a three-step dance. First, they'll extend the current tariff truce just to buy more time. Second, they'll agree on some kind of framework for future talks. And third, and this is the key political win for both of them, they each get to walk away and claim they've prevented a full-blown economic catastrophe.
And this all leads to the ultimate question, doesn't it? Is this summit just a temporary fix, a little ceasefire, or is it the beginning of a genuine turning point? You know, are they just kicking the can down the road, or could the simple act of agreeing to keep talking, could that be the first real step toward a more stable future? I guess only time will tell.